We have a story tonight about a journey that changed a life, about a time that changed the world. A lot of the stories we've collected about World War II are about change. Some of the most dramatic have come from people who came very close to dying, but somehow managed to survive and make it back home. Patrick Murphy tonight begins with more of your stories of World War II.
In the early morning hours of August 4th, 1944, several hundred American bombers left their base in England on a mission to Germany. "22-year-old Sergeant Allen Sabol of North St. Louis was the tail gunner on the Daisy May, a B-24 attached to the 492nd Bomber Group, 8th Air Force. It was Sergeant Sabol's sixth mission.
As we got close to where we were going to bomb, we could see what was going on down there because it was the submarine pens up in way up north in Germany, Kiel. And they can trace us because we could see red flak. And when you see red flak, you know they're on to you. And we kept getting some pretty good hits. And we knew that was something was going to happen. You don't really want to leave that plane if you don't have to, but there was nothing we could do, and so we jumped. Some of the civilian farmers, I guess it was, that saw us come down, and they surrounded a couple of us, and then the local police came in and took us to their wherever it was, and we were in solitary for a couple of days. And things started heating up, and it seemed like the locals were wanting to hang us. And they got us out just in time. And from there, we went to what was called the interrogation center. We are told, if you're Jewish, to get rid of the dog tags first thing. But I kept mine, and I also kept my prayer book, and so I told them I'm Jewish, because I felt that that was what I was supposed to do. So anyway, we were assigned to a camp called Le Fort. It was way up in Poland, northern part of the area, and it took us maybe 2 days, I guess, by train to get there. And when you get off of the train ride, you're everybody's sort of shackled together, and we're walking up to where the camp is, and this looked like German guard or whatever comes down, and he's talking in German, which we didn't know exactly what was going on, and he's telling the guards that these men have to be run to the camp. They can't walk. They must run, and it's not an easy thing to run when you're shackled together. But if you have police dogs and bayonets on the other side of you, you're going to manage to run somehow. And that's we had heard previously some prisoners were bayoneted and were killed in this particular situation. We didn't get much food at all. Our rations were very little, and of course we didn't have much heat at all, hardly any heat at all, and the clothing that we had was not sufficient. And it started getting pretty cold, and we heard sometime, I guess it was about the middle of January of '45, that we could be evacuating the camp. It wasn't very good news because the weather was getting extremely cold, and there was a lot of snow. February the 1st, we were lined up, a number of us, several thousand, were lined up, and we started marching. And of course, there was no provisions for food whatsoever, and water. There was the snow on the ground, and we walked days every day, and then we were to move to a certain area, and I don't understand why, but we were put on, this was when we were put on a boxcar, 85 of us. And we rode in this car for 2 days. We didn't see daylight for 2 days. There was no food, no water, no nothing. And the men were, there was a lot of sickness, but there was nothing you could do about it. And we traveled February and March until we got to this one international camp. It was a very, very big camp. And we stayed there, I think it was maybe 2 days. And for some reason or other, I don't know why, but we were back on the road again. And we almost marched all the way back where we came from. And finally, I guess it was May 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th, whatever, that one of the Germans in charge said that we are surrounded, and we are going to let some of your people go out and find the probably English or Canadians at the time. And we looked around and went, I don't know whatever happened, but they just melted away. We didn't even see them leave, the Germans. And all we could, after a little bit, we heard this clanking, and up the road comes this tank, and it was a sight to see. When I was getting off to this gangplank ship in Boston, there was, I guess, Red Cross nurse or whatever on either side. They were saying something, and I don't know what they were saying, but I happened to look down, and there was a mat, and across it said home, and kind of like that. And so the Red Cross made facilities for us to call home, and I told my parents, I think it was my mother that answered the phone. I told her that I'm home. And it's not something that sometimes it's easy to recall. I have problems with it, and there's times when I don't particularly care to go into it. But people need to know what took place. They keep saying never again. Well, they got to know why.